Another Thursday is upon us, which means it is time for Pals Pulls. We have a full cast on deck today. We've got Cale,
What's up, hot dogs?
Marco,
Comics Pals Jutsu.
Tyler,
Um, believe it. Sorry, I'm working on stream stuff.
and I'm Sean. Thank you for being here, whether you are live with us or in the future. We've got a full cast, but we've also got a full helping of books this week. We've got
Count them.
six of this week's biggest comics releases. We've got Ultimate Spider-Man number 11. We've got the debuting Rocketfellers number 1. Also debuting TMNT X Naruto number 1. Believe it or not, I've been looking forward to that one.
Mm-hmm.
The Question All Along the Watchtower number 1. Batman and Robin Year 1 number 2. And the listener pick this week, to the surprise of probably zero point zero people, World's Finest number 33. So
Every week, dude. That one goes up.
It's almost unfair at this point.
It's like, who's it going against this week? All right.
dude, I left out of the poll this week that's up right now. I left out the Long Halloween because it's just gonna win. Like it'll just win the poll. There's no
Yeah.
point. But the weird thing is that those polls get a ton of votes too, where it's like a landslide. People vote. They want to vote for a landslide. What are you gonna do? All right, go ahead, Gil.
I was gonna say, show up for the guy you know is gonna win.
Right,
Sounds
exactly.
familiar. I don't know. Interesting.
Not on this show, Cale.
Oh, sorry.
Um, wow. All right, let's kick things off with Ultimate Spider-Man, the number 1 best-selling comic book outside of the Absolute books. This is written by Jonathan Hickman with art by David Messina, colors by Matthew Wilson, the same old crew, and letters, of course, by Corey Pettit. So largely, this issue features Peter Parker waiting for Harry, for them to go on a bit of a sting operation. They're here to stop a bank robbery against Mr. Negative and the Negative Gang, who I always love to see. And Peter gets into a scuffle, and I think it's only the second one we've seen him get in by himself, if I can remember correctly. Go ahead, Tyler.
In 11 issues.
Yeah. That leads to a heated conversation with Mary Jane, and then later on the incredibly unimportant reveal of the new Black Cat.
Oh.
Can I just interject real quick?
Go.
As somebody who has to make the thumbnails and then put up a title for the show, Ultimate Spider-Man screws me over every friggin' month. What happens explicitly does not matter to the actual part of the book. It's annoying. Sorry.
At least she was on the title, on the cover.
I expected both of them to go right into the book. I appreciated that they at least waited.
Fair. Yeah.
We've learned. You can't say we've learned a lot.
But either way, open the floor up. What did you guys make of this comic?
Can I be completely honest?
That's the hope.
Oh, good. I've been lying this whole show so far. I think I'm out. I just there's this is a well-made book, but I just find it boring. Like, even when so you say Spider-Man gets in a scuffle here, his first solo scuffle that he gets into, or second one in the entirety of this book outside of I think it was it Shocker, the original
Shocker.
thing?
Yeah.
And I read this and I'm like, this just feels like Spider-Man.
Yep.
Like, there's nothing in it that is different enough right now that's pulling me. Even in the title page or the credits page, the opening credits, it shows images of his kids. They're not in the book. So the big draw for this being a family book is non-existent in the actual content of this story. It doesn't differentiate itself enough from main 616 Spider-Man for me to actually feel like it's any different or for me to care anymore. It is a well-crafted book. I will give it that. I think pacing-wise, in terms of the larger scheme of things, has issues, and I've said that. But after this issue, because we finally got some action and we got some villains introduced, I came out of it thinking, yeah, that still didn't hook me enough. I think I'm out.
Or even for the emotional beats, like the aforementioned, conversation between Mary Jane. This, to what Tyler said, this being a family book, like even that ended in, oh hey, you want to like fool around, oh like rain checks type stuff, like the drama and the care and the worry for Peter felt flat.
Marco wanted to watch him fuck on page.
I know, dude.
Well,
but
I mean, look at that Mary Jane. Like,
hey, first thing he says, can I say you're looking great? Like, you're sprawled out on the sofa, you're beat to a pulp, right? And Mary Jane just kind of comes over and is like, I get it, I'm understanding of this, and that feels odd. Those interactions felt off for me, and that was one of the moments I was like, I'm not understanding this connection here.
And I think having the Absolute books and having things like Ultimates, and even Ultimate X-Men, honestly, which I've started to catch up on, and I actually am enjoying it, show me what this formula could be and how different things can get. And I think having all of that recently only put a spotlight on the issues Ultimate Spider-Man's having in my eyes.
It feels like Spider-Man by way of the West Wing. And I don't like
The Web Wing.
The Web Wing,
Yeah.
of course. It's weird to me that that's where it comes from, but like, I just like it's talky, heavy drama that's there, and on paper, so to speak, it is interesting. But again, like, I could flip open any issue of Amazing Spider-Man and see him, quipping at superpowered losers who are robbing a bank. It's just like, it's different, but it's not different enough. Again, the only things that feel tangibly different are Uncle Ben and the Peter and MJ marriage, and it's just not interesting.
So I want to say hello real quick to Sean Ali. What's up, CW Gordon? Gavin Guidry, the man himself, who will actually be joining us this Saturday on the show. That's going to be a great time. His first appearance in the flesh.
About time.
Absolutely. Jay Striving Lip Tack, what's up? Near. Good to see you, Near. Happy Funny Dogs. Haven't seen you before, but I do love me some dogs. So welcome. Munster Design, how's it going? Silhouette, what's up, my man? Ways of the Sith, good to see you. Aaron Ruiz, good evening to you too. Atomic Hound, what's up? Atomic Hound says hit like, I agree. Kyle, how you doing? Comic Book History, what's up? Banksy Maine, yo, right back at you. So this is the part of the show where we disappoint everybody who loves Ultimate Spider-Man. Because, go ahead, Tyler.
I was gonna say I was hoping you'd be a dissenting opinion here.
I'm probably not feeling as badly about it as you guys, but there was a point. Like, I love Mr. Negative. I think he's a really cool character. And there was a point when they were robbing the bank. I was like, wait a second. This could happen with no changes whatsoever in Amazing Spider-Man, and it would feel like I was reading Amazing Spider-Man. And on top of that, I was thinking, well, if he's a part of the Kingpin's cabal and they all sort of run the world, why does he still have to rob banks? Like, wouldn't it be more interesting if Spider-Man didn't have to deal with that? Like, if that kind of thing wasn't a thing because they run everything? Like, there's just nothing different at all. And then with the MJ scene, like I was really bummed out because I was like, okay, here we go. She's gonna give him shit. She's gonna, she's taking it seriously. And it's like she's not taking it seriously. And this doesn't resonate with me based on any, I mean, frankly, any woman I've ever known, any spouse I've ever known, you could flip the roles. If my girlfriend says, "Hey, I go out every night and I fight for my life, and if someone were to unmask me and see who I am, they would know about you and the kids and you could die." I'm not going to say, "Oh, that's cool. Just let me know when it gets dangerous. Want a bone?" It doesn't feel authentic.
Yeah, man. The Mr. Negative bits. This Sinister Six has felt like clowns. They get beat up. They get tied up. Like to that point, they're supposed to be this team that's controlling the city. They have entire boroughs. Now I'm sitting here thinking, what? Like, surely the police can deal with these clowns.
But even then, they're just gangs, which we just dealt with in Amazing Spider-Man. Like it's just gang lords running the city, and Spider-Man has to stop that. I'm like, I read that last year, and the year before that, and I played that.
Feels less weighty though. Like
Yeah.
here, they're the position to be right hand men, not uh your henchmen.
Yeah, there's just nothing feeling different about it. The heat is off every single scenario except I think the conversation between Peter and Uncle Ben later on was really good. But the heat is just not there. And it feels like Peter is almost inconsequential in his own comic. And like he was waiting around for Harry to show up. I feel like I'm waiting around for Harry to show up because that's the only time that anything like really dynamic happens.
Where the plot is with Harry.
But it's weird because there's a lot of waiting in this, but there's no tension.
Right.
So it's boring. Like you could have waiting and you could build tension there, but there's no tension issue to issue for this for me.
Cole says, "Normal." Sorry, I just really want to tackle this because maybe we are missing something. Focus on the redheaded Karen in the bank scene. It's about Peter taking action without thinking, not picking up on the foreshadowing. Yes, but 11 issues down the line at 4.99, I need more than foreshadowing. I need shit to be in the foreground. I need something to focus on.
This is almost two
Oh.
trades.
Yeah. It's 2.5. Yeah. No, sorry, 1.5. Um Peter acts without thinking, and Uncle Ben dies in the first issue of, Amazing Fantasy or whatever. Right?
Wow. Dude, what you just said, that blew my mind because I never thought about that. You are 1,000,000% right.
I mean,
Clip it,
these,
guys.
the old heads might have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that's that's right. Like, because it just like, what are we waiting for? It's been 11 issues.
I feel like the only lingering plot that feels like there's some tension to it is Harry, but that tension only comes from the fact that we know what happens to mainline Harry. So it's inferred tension as opposed to the book actually giving me tension. Does that make sense? Like even the Kingpin stuff is kind of lost heat for me.
And okay, so we wait all this time for Uncle Ben to die. If that's what's going to happen, we have no idea what's going to happen. But if that's what happens, it's like, all right. So we waited all that time for it to take another step towards mainline, which is why I don't think Uncle Ben is going to die. But that last scene, it heavily foreshadows it, which makes me feel like, okay, that's not what's going to happen.
There's going to be a swerve. And I think the only swerve that can keep me in this book, and maybe this is controversial, is if MJ dies.
I'm with that.
It's single dad Peter, because then it's extremely different.
But
That would piss everyone off. And actually, I kind of like that.
but single dad Peter is gonna be a freaking absent father. Like, if that's we don't even see the kids anymore.
The kids are absent. What are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's just gonna be, oh cool, we got the relationship aspect of Peter off the board, but those have been the interesting parts. Like, I want to see Peter in the suit, Peter back at home, Peter dealing with those things. But that to me feels like a way to just get them off the board and not have to deal with it, brush it away.
Go ahead, Tyler.
And like Banksy Mane here says, and is that album art for Justice as your icon? Cool. Banksy Mane says it's moving a bit slow, but I think once it starts to ramp up, it's going to be balls to the wall. And yes, typically Hickman, when he is firing on all cylinders, is firing. That shit's going. But we're almost a year into this, and Peter's only been in 2 scraps.
And we have 13 months to go. Like,
If I told you this was the 4th issue of Ultimate Spider-Man, how would you feel?
Cool. Let's. I'm excited for the cliffhanger at issue 5.
Yeah, I'd say, hey, it's pacing hot, but we're getting some traction.
And in a lot of ways, and I hate to say it, in a lot of ways, I feel like you could cut out a lot of the stuff that's happened throughout the last, half of this run and just get to this issue, and you really didn't miss anything. Like, I don't understand how that's 11 issues deep.
So I actually thought about this too when this came up. In comic book history says MJ saying kids are at after school activities while it's pitch black outside. I was thinking the same thing. Like, this feels like sitcom doesn't want to write the baby, which defeats the purpose of the pitch of what Ultimate Spider-Man was.
Yeah.
Ways of the Sith here says, I think it's JJ. They've made us like him too much, so it's gonna hurt.
me.
Yeah, right. But like that won't affect me because those aren't central people to the story here. Like, yeah, he's a character and he's playing a big role in this company, but like emotionally, I don't need to see that. I'll be like, damn.
They could execute Uncle Ben in front of me, and I wouldn't care.
Yo,
Marco's got to. He's like, just kill a kid. Just get one of the kids. Come on.
That would suck.
I think that would be weighty. But now based
But
off
that
these
would that would be interesting.
But I don't trust Hickman to handle that in like an emotional way. Like hey, fucking May's dad, want a bone?
Great point.
I really want to love this so bad. I really do. Well, let's talk about the part that we probably all enjoyed, which was the last bit with Uncle Ben and Peter, where Uncle Ben essentially tells him, look, I know who you are. I know who you really are. I know you're Spider-Man. He doesn't say that. And he tells Peter, don't say it out loud. How many people know? Keep this shit to yourself. This can go really bad, and you don't even realize how bad.
That made me like Uncle Ben a lot, and I'm like, all right, give me the Uncle Ben Zodiac Killer comic. I'll read that, but I don't care about Peter, But reading that bit, I was like, okay, man, here's a peek at the differences that can be in this book that I'm just not getting enough of.
Yeah. Near pointed something like that out. He said, I love Ben and Jameson's dynamic, maybe something adjacent to Marvel's by Alex Ross with their perspective of the Ultimate Universe. But at this point, I'm writing that book. It's like, yeah, Uncle Ben and J. Jonah Jameson book would be rad, but imagine how much we'd be bitching about that.
The moment that got me was when Peter's like, 6, you make 7, unless Jonah knows. And then Ben's like, no, he's not there yet. And I thought, damn, he's that good? My dude has been in mainline with him for 60 plus years and never figured out? Standing next to the dude? Get the fuck out of here.
I really like this panel right here of Peter walking away from Uncle Ben on the last page after they have this conversation where Uncle Ben says, I've lived a good life and I've lived long enough to see the woman I love be buried and gone. I do miss her, but it was a good life and I'm fine with whatever happens next. Can you say that? And Peter thinks for a beat and he says no. and then he walks away, and half of his face is like darkened. And again, it definitely is dragging that point across that yes, this Peter has the power, but he doesn't understand yet what responsibilities that comes with, and he's in over his head. But I think that we were all on board with that concept within 3 issues of the run. So this just feels like it's taking a long time to get anywhere. And I personally wonder if this has anything to do with Chichetto's absence. Is Hickman afraid, or not afraid, but does he not want to do too much in the issues that Chichetto doesn't draw?
I mean, going by issue 6 when he's there and they're fighting Kingpin and nothing happens, and that's the end of the first trade. I don't know if that's true or not.
Sure.
Is he like edging us, waiting for Chichetto? Like, there needs to be more here. I mean, here's the thing: like the Messina, right? Art.
Yeah.
It's good. Like, I think this is
Fine.
good art. And if this was like any other book, maybe that didn't have Chichetto on it as well, I'd be like, all right, great art. But there is a bit that's like, man, I'm still missing out on the Chichetto stuff.
Yeah. I think even like I feel like we all saw that this is going to be a Peter Parker who learns his lesson late after having gotten his powers late, and now we're just waiting for that shoe to drop. But the big momentous moments have fallen flat. Like the big Kingpin fight, these sequences with Mary Jane, the Sinister Six. Like, does that mean that someone's gonna die, and next month we're just happy-go-luckies, like, flipping around the city? Last month was really tough, but I'm glad that we got through that.
That's an interesting point, and that I stopped listening after a while, but I had the thought connected. Hang on, work with me. And I think this is connected to what you're saying.
Piece of shit.
No, listen. At this point, Peter's what, 40?
Late 30s.
He's got 2 kids, like a full life, a career. And we're talking about waiting for him to learn a lesson. I'm 35, right? I can't actively make the decision to stop drinking coffee until 8 p.m. Every day I wake up and I say, oof, I gotta get off coffee so that I can appreciate it and live my life a little bit better and healthier. What if he's just not going to learn the lesson?
Too set in his ways already.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's negligent.
But again, this is we're saying this is an adult Peter Parker with a wife, kids. He's got superpowers handed to him. What else does he need? Learn a lesson for what?
I find that all the speculating we do about this series is speculation born of frustration and not speculation born of like excitement. I remember when we were reviewing the early like Hoxpox and we were speculating like crazy, but we were super motivated and like it was inspiring us to think. This is like we're like fan casting what we want to happen because we're so bored with what is happening. And that's not a great feeling.
Yeah.
Wonder if there's an alternate universe out there where Donny Cates was writing Ultimate Spider-Man instead.
The multiverse, dude. 615.
Ultimate Comics pals.
Yeah.
I'm not out, but I am. My enthusiasm for this series is waning, and it's quickly becoming a case of the only Ultimate book I really care about is Ultimates. Everything else is whatever until the maker comes out.
Which is wild to say about a Spider-Man book. It just is.
Well, I'm definitely going to read it for 2 more issues because that's when Gavin Guidry's cover comes out.
Hey, let's go.
All right.
Saw
They've
that
got us
message
on the hook.
earlier, yeah.
At least 2 more.
But yeah, like
I didn't hate it. It's still a pull for me.
It's a frustrating book, but I don't think it's a bad book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's a pull from me. It's still a good comic, but $55 in, I don't feel very happy.
Never do that again.
That was crazy
Don't-
right now.
Don't let me know that.
But that's the reality. That's
Say
why,
it, man.
Sonder said we need to be more patient. Why do we need to be more patient? To what do we owe that patience? When in the first fucking comic book Spider-Man ever appeared in, his uncle died and they gave him the lesson and everything else. We're now 11 issues deep. Every cover's a lie. And like, he's not learning lessons. He's got kids that aren't in the book. I got an APB out on these fucking kids. Do you know where your children are? They're not in this comic book. Where are these kids at?
Hanging out with Ultimate X-Men kids.
Gosh. And then Black Cat
Damn,
is
bro.
on the cover. She's in the book for 2 seconds. She doesn't meet Spider-Man at all. She's not a part of a heist. This cover's a lie.
Literally one panel.
What's
Yeah.
wild is, and we're going to be talking about the book later, but I was almost like cheering my ass off reading the question. In this book, I was bored. And I'm like, what world am I in right now?
Did you guys notice that on the monument that Ben was staring at the whole time, and it looked like he was really studying it for a while. He's never looking at May's name. May Parker's name is never May Riley. May nothing is ever on the monuments he's standing in front of.
I was looking for her name, yeah, and I couldn't find it. I just figured that it just was off screen or something, but interesting.
We all pulled.
Yeah.
It's the limp-wristed pull ever.
It's a functional comic, so I can't knock it for that. Same thing as when we were doing ASM, dude. Like, it's not vibing me, but it works. It's a comic. It's doing well.
Man, have more fun with fucking Zeb Wells,
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Doc Ock, right? Like,
Way more fun.
So the solution is Ultimate Paul.
Solution is Zeb Wells on Ultimate Spider-Man.
That would be the greatest troll of all time.
Book it.
Do it. Do it.
Oh my goodness. Dark Dragon X7 says Hickman never takes this long to make a cool comic. I mean, yeah, like I certainly think there have been issues of this that were quite good, and even this one is solid, but I just think in terms of propulsion and in terms of excitement and, even anything deeply thematic, like, okay, yes, Peter's in over his head. This issue exemplifies that, but it doesn't do anything else. And I get it. For $4.99, I got it 7 issues ago. I don't need that repeated.
comic book history says, I think when we get on the other side of the setup, we'll be complaining about how rushed it feels. I don't think we'll get a balance issue. I would love to be in that world right now.
I keep holding out hope that when the dominoes fall, it's going to be super exciting. And I still believe that. I think, everybody involved is capable of delivering on that promise. It's just taking an awful long while to get to the point. It's tough, man. All right. So we've got a lot more books on tap. That is our Marvel book for the week, unfortunately, but we do have a lot more to go. Before we get to the rest of that, I do have a couple of words for you. First of all, hello, welcome to the show. Hope you're all having a great day so far. Thank you for choosing us to be your review crew. We are very happy to be here, hanging out with you guys for a bit. This Tuesday. This Tuesday is our book club, Grant Morrison month book club. We are going to be presenting our book club on Batman by Morrison. We're going to be talking about Batman and Son, Batman the Black Glove, and Batman R.I.P. So come prepared to talk about those books. If you have the desire, we'll also be talking about it's called The Return of Bruce Wayne a little bit. So we'll be getting into all that good stuff Tuesday. Hope to see you then. Patreon.com/TheComicsPals. If you guys want to support the show, that's the best way to do it. Like this video. Super chats are open. We've got a lot going on around these parts. If you want to stay connected to all of that, join our Discord server, join our Patreon. Those are the best ways to keep in contact with us, other than, of course, just watching the show. Let's keep it rolling. Let's talk about the Rocketfellers #1. Now, for those of you who caught our newest show, which dropped this past Monday, we discussed our predictions for what we thought our pick of the week would be.
Dude, I edited the show and I don't remember what I said.
Yeah, completely forgotten already.
So I said Rocketfellers. Marco said his heart wanted it to be TMNT Naruto, but he felt like it was going to be Rocketfellers. I believe that's what Marco said.
That was.
I think Tyler said Question all along the Watchtower, and I want to say Cale said the same, but I'm not 100% sure on that. We're going to see how right those predictions were here, starting with this one. And I say that because none of us picked Ultimate Spider-Man, so that was out of the question.
Bye.
Starting with Rockefeller. So this is Peter Tomasi on the words, Francis Montepool on the art, Rob Lee on the letters, and that is the squad. We pretty much knew what this was going to be. You know, it's a family that has had to leave their time. Like, they're from our future. They had to leave the future and get into a sort of like witness protection program in the past to avoid a consequence of something that they did in the future, which, you know, we weren't never exactly aware of. What this issue did that surprised me, I guess, is the way it started, where it shows us the journey to get to the past. That was really great. The sacrifices that have to be made to get to the past. And then we see how they're living in the past, which then becomes, you know, essentially the present, and how they're integrating themselves into the modern world, even though none of them have ever seen this before. It's got, you know, some really fun family stuff. It's got some heartwarming stuff. The art's really good, I think. What did you guys make of Rocketfellers #1?
This was my pick of the week. This just felt like comics I miss, if that makes sense. Tomasi just knows how to write young characters and families so damn well. We've talked about it on the show, Super Sons. Everyone, you know, thinks back on that book. It's such a wild thing to say because it's not that long ago, but thinks back on it as, you know, something they've loved. And Tomasi has been a writer I've enjoyed for decades at this point. You know, I was reading Tomasi's Green Lantern Corps, and that's an ensemble book as well. So seeing Tomasi back with a core group of characters to do this ensemble story and a family story at the same time, I was excited. And then in Manipul and art, that's like the easiest pick I've ever had before I even read the book. And actually reading this book, I'm like, oh, this is the easiest pull pick of the week I've had in a long time. It's just good fun. There's a hook in this issue, and I think throwing us in the middle, like in media res, with throwing us into them escaping to the past and the mystery surrounding that. There's so many hooks here that sucked me into the story. Just, oh, what did they do? What's the technology there? Who's this person chasing them? How are they dealing with this, you know, being in our time? It's just, there's so much here in this one issue that it's just like, all right, these are just veterans doing what they do best on a book they have full control over. And it's just really nice to see.
I had predicted this should be my pick of the week, and it was a contender, but it did not achieve that for me. I think I had a blast, first of all, with this book. I love the storytelling. I love the return to the past type thing, or return to the future rather. That as a concept, the family dynamic. I'm pretty much agreed with everything that Tyler laid out. For me, there were some moments here that I think felt just a tad unbalanced from an art standpoint. The son, I couldn't figure out like the age, because in the ship looks shorter, younger. Then he gets outside, he's tall, a little lanky. But then later down the line, in the pool, everybody looks a bit younger and smaller. And then it gets revealed he has a girlfriend. So I was kind of confused on some of the ways that Manipul portrayed younger characters. I think all the other characters were done really well, but the daughter and the brother in particular, I couldn't really figure out. not a huge knock or anything. And I think overall, the initial sequence I think was meant to grip me emotionally, but didn't as much as I would have liked it to. And that's just obviously I don't have the familiarity with these characters quite yet. I think I understand why it was set up that way, why it was played that way. But yeah, it didn't initially grab me, but I appreciated the need for that, and it felt plot driven. And so I managed to I pushed through, and I had a good time at the end of this.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I had a really good time. I was surprised at how much uh the grandmother's sacrifice uh meant to me. At the in the beginning, and it does a lot of work to explain what we saw. Was it in the ash can?
Yeah.
Where we first see them. I really enjoyed that, and I like that they're sort of answering that question now, so that we've gotten that look already with the ash can, and now going forward when we see her, we sort of know what grandpa is working toward, what his goals are, what he's trying to get back for. I really like that. One thing that also really affected me, that was the meeting of the deer in front of the time portal. And it really just kind of showed me who this family is. They weren't expecting to be here. They weren't they're caught in a situation. And now they have to deal with it. And obviously there will be more to the story, but I think that those deer really symbolize who the Rocketfellers are. You've got the tall male there with the antlers, stood ready to defend, and then you compare him to Roland. I think it's a perfect analogy there, and I think it really plays. Toward the end, I found myself kind of picking up my phone a little, but I'm still very interested to see what's going on and where this is going to go. Manipul's God, fantastic. Manipul isn't God. Manipul is fantastic.
So for me, this was my pick of the week as well. And I just listened back, and Tyler, Marco, and I all chose this. Cale chose TMNT Naruto.
Oh, how disappointing.
And yeah, I'm happy to say that I agree with my past self. This issue was awesome. I think from a writing standpoint, I just haven't read a lot of Tomasi, but I've heard a lot of great things, obviously, about Super Sons, and I've read things here or there. But I've really found a lot to like in his script. He did everything he had to do. He gave us just enough of the personalities of the various characters for the first issue. He set up the stakes. There are big, character moments from the beginning of it. I think everything that they laid out was really well done from the story standpoint. But man, oh man, like maybe you don't love the story yet. I can understand that, but art is undeniable. And Francis Manapul was shredding on this book. You can really tell he took his time.
Yeah.
You can tell that he's invested in this because he put his whole ass in this. I'm thinking, like, wait a second, is this what Francis Manapul does? I don't remember this. I didn't remember Flash looking like this.
It did.
It
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Wow.
I think there's a little more detail here. I think the page that really jumps out to me, and we saw it at New York Comic Con and at the Ashcan, was the title when the ship crashes and it makes the Rocketfellers title
Love
in like
that.
the ice. I'm like, oh, and it's like two pages in or something like that. I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. I'm into it.
Just to,
that was pulpy. That felt classic comics.
yeah, just to continue the credit, the Flash comparison. It looks like Manipul is on inks, colors, and everything here.
Yep.
So I wonder if that's the difference with Flash, because pencils and style, this all looks like Manipul.
That's what I was gonna say. I couldn't remember if he did it all
Yeah,
on that run, which would be crazy if he did because he was also co-writing.
yeah.
But in any event, this is a good reminder because I can't remember the last time I saw Francis's work, like in a new book. So this is a tremendous reminder of what he does and what he can still do. Flash was 13 years ago.
Sure was. My back knows it.
Yeah, I had a great time with this. Like, I think, I think you're gonna know whether this is for you with this first issue.
I would say within the first couple of pages too, honestly.
I think I think you get 15 pages in, you know this is for you. That's a quarter of the way through, a third of the way through.
I also think that this is a book where issue 2 is going to be really telling. As much as I like issue 1 and I really enjoy this issue, there is a part of me that's like, all right, what is the book going to be going forward as an ongoing? Is it going to be slice of life?
Yeah.
Is there going to be an overarching plot? Is it a whole bunch of one and dones? Are we just living with this family with the sci-fi part of it in the background, kind of tying things together? I'm a little curious of how it looks as an ongoing, but for this issue, phenomenal.
Can I just answer Tyler's question with a yes?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's all of that.
Yeah, that was my approach, especially at the end, the cliffhanger, the eye there, like where is this going? And it
Right.
excited me to think about. I didn't even need to think about like the potentials of where it would go, but the groundwork here and me asking that question from a perspective of I have no idea, and that's exciting to me.
And by the way, just in case you were wondering what you can expect in issue 2, the halls aren't the only things about to be decked. That's that's the that's the stinger here for issue number 2. So sounds like we're gonna have some family infighting going on.
And a Christmas issue, no less.
Yes, indeed.
Love that. Good timing.
Yeah, I honestly really easy review. Like this is just a great book. I thought pick
Yeah.
of the week, easy buy, go get it. Go get it.
Pull it.
Solid pull for me. Yeah.
I've been seeing people having trouble finding this, honestly. I think it might have been underordered. I do think they maybe could have marketed a little harder on the book, because we didn't know it was coming out until we re-recorded the Monday show. We forgot it was this week. So if there's going to be a knock, I would say maybe want to push it a little more. But the actual book itself is great.
Monster Design says the artist Francis Manipul will be in my local shop this weekend. Should I get it signed for the pals? Man, get it signed for you. That's
for
gonna be
real.
a good cover, a good signature.
Get it signed, go get it signed. But you know what you can do for the pals is just, throw our names out there. Hey Francis,
They
listen
know
to the
us.
Comics Pals. They were talking great about you, all that good stuff. Let them know you're a fan of what we do. We need to get that brother on here. We need to get Pete Tomasi on here too. Love to
Yep.
talk to them. Okay, we actually got a poll up for this one, and we're going to close it now because I want to see what you guys are having to say about this book. And as it turns out, you guys are full steam ahead on pull. 67% of you saying pull, 22% saying pass, and 9% saying pick of the week.
Interesting.
It's a lot
And
of
I
polls.
think-
Yeah.
3 of us agree with you guys, right? It was Marco didn't go that way
No,
this
me.
week. Okay,
It's killing
okay.
it. And that's around
Yeah.
75% polling. So that kind of tracks with our numbers too.
Beautiful. Love to see it. Well, let's see how aligned we are on the next book. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles X Naruto. This is written by Caleb Goldner with art by Hendry Preseda, colors by Raul Angulo, letters by Ed Dukeshire. Now, I know nothing about Naruto except what my friends say. And I have a lot of friends that love this shit and always want to talk about it, but I never understand what they're talking about. It's like another language, Hokage and, Yeah,
Yeah.
what's it? Yasendare or Sunadare or whatever the hell those words are.
Sundere? Is that, am I pronouncing that
Oh
better,
my
Marco?
God, Sean, but that's not what that means.
No, it's not.
I don't know what it means, but I was looking at this first page and I was like, okay, Team 7, I don't know what that is. I don't know what a Hatake is, but I do know what an April O'Neil is. And that's my way into this book. I know the TMNT. I didn't realize that this book was going to kind of be like acting as if their worlds went
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Coexist.
And that twist actually ended up making this really cool for me.
When it was Big Apple Village, I'm like, oh wait, New York is just a village in this Naruto world? I'm like, hell yeah, all right, that is fucking stupid. I'm in.
That sold it. That I thought was a great way, because you would think, oh, they got to go to the past. You know, there's a future thing. You have to like solve for that.
Where's the
This-
portal? Yeah.
yeah, right. It's like this is just nope. It just is perfect. Don't need that. Don't need anything else.
I don't know. We haven't seen that yet. I'm still waiting on that shoe to drop because they talk a lot about technology. They talk a lot about Baxter Stockman doing stuff with technology and bioengineering. I don't know what Naruto's about. I bet you not once do they talk about bioengineering in that book.
Uh, uh,
Medicine. And
Orochimaru-
stuff.
Show me
Yeah.
where the word bioengineering
It
is in
won't-
Naruto.
it
it
won't-
and
won't.
I'll
It
take
won't
it
exist.
back.
It won't exist. It's
Yeah,
called. It's
thank
called
you.
biojutsu.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I also liked for that scroll, that opening scroll moment, was, hey, here's this table setting, you know, go figure it out.
The thing I would have liked about that is if the because I don't know Naruto. I wish the characters were in order the way they are in the picture.
I agree.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. But out the gate, I heard the things in their voices, and so the entirety of this issue, I was hearing the voice actors there for Naruto, for Sasuke, for Kakashi, even
Did you-
just.
Did you hear the drums and the flute going on in the
Dude,
background?
the music, yeah. Whenever the fight scene came on, like,
Exactly. Yeah.
all of it just played out. So it definitely tapped into like a really strong element of nostalgia for me. And I thought that the writing captured some of the silliness of the characters pretty well. The seriousness of Sasuke, definitely Sakura being, you know, like a bit rebellious and she wants to show her worth. So I think the characters were captured really well from the original manga.
What I really enjoyed was the pairings of the characters and pairing them up with the turtles. Like Sakura and Raphael does not compute in my mind.
Yep.
But as it's happening, I'm like, oh no, these are the two that are always like second, you know, and never get to really showcase who they are. And they're always trying to, they have this chip on their shoulder in a way. And I'm like, yeah, duh, that makes sense. Sasuke and Leonardo totally makes sense. They're like leaders in a way. Sasuke a little more reluctantly, but he is the one that keeps everyone in line. And Leo is the same way. And then Mikey and Donatello having to deal with a whole bunch of Narutos. Like Mikey and Naruto make sense. Donatello kind of a little more of an outsider here. But I enjoyed that. I thought that was great.
I mean, to me, the biggest selling point of this, it's a fun comic, and I'm sure that there's a cross section of people like Marco and Tyler for whom this is like, you know, oh shit, you know. But for me, without that context, at least on the Naruto side, the biggest draw was the art. I can't even believe how good this art is. Hendrik Preseda, where are you? Like, where can we find more of you?
Apparently Power Rangers. I think I read that somewhere. He did some work with the more recent Power Ranger stuff, which tracks,
Okay.
honestly. And also it makes sense as why I've not seen him before.
Yo, this is the most like vibrant, like exciting. The pages, the panels here, the angles. I like that. Look at that. That's just so angular and dynamic and exciting to read and look at. The designs of the characters are absolutely pitch perfect. just look at this, dude. Look at Leo. Look at Leo. Look at the lining. Look at the speed lines. Oh my god.
The bit where he slices at Sasuke and a little bit of Sasuke's bangs get cut.
Yo.
Like a woman who just graduated college and lives in now Greenpoint, cutting bangs is a little
All right.
risky. Yeah.
We've had enough of hearing about your ex-wife.
Damn. Damn.
Hendry Presetia apparently did Kamen Rider 01.
Bro, the hardest pivot.
She wasn't
So
really into
Kamen
bangs,
Rider.
but, yeah. Cale's like, oh, I went too far. I got to talk about Kamen Rider.
There's a common refrain in my house.
Yeah. You gotta go there. No, the art's so it's good. The one thing I wanted to bring up though was kind of tying Splinter and Kakashi together as like an emotional tether in a way. They're two senseis having to control and teach the next generation essentially. I thought that was great, and then the twist at the end where it's like where Kakashi calls Splinter by his actual name. Not gonna lie, I popped the fuck out for that.
Same, dude.
And I don't
Yep.
pop for Ninja Turtles at all. But I remember that, and I'm like, holy shit.
Sick.
This is almost my pick.
sick.
This is almost my pick. This is a lot of freaking fun,
Good.
this book.
This was my heart's pick of the week, but it wasn't my mind's pick of the week. This is so much fun. The one thing that I hadn't realized and I had to do a little research on was when it came to the naming of some of the techniques in the English translations of the manga, they are referenced as art or techniques as opposed to in the anime they're called jutsus and they have a specific name. And so I always understood it to be, shadow clone jutsu, that duplication effect. But here, in keeping with the English translations from Viz, they stuck around with the art of the doppelganger. So there's some consistency there for manga readers, I think, more so than the anime fans coming into this understanding that world.
And as somebody who had read the manga, it is weird seeing a new artist do Naruto.
Yeah.
There's a bit where it's not a negative, it's not a positive, it's just different. And it's very I'm gonna sound like the Eastmaster here. It's very Western in the way it looks. That's a deep cut for anyone going through the backlogs.
Whoa. Izzy just popped.
But it made me realize, like, oh, I guess these are characters that other people can draw, and they could look a little different.
Yeah.
This is gonna get a green flag for me. This is a pull. I really enjoyed this. This was fun. I came in expecting nothing except the art to be really good, and even that was better than I expected. So I have high praise for this, man. And I think that I could see this being a high seller. I could see a lot of people wanting to pick this up.
Dude, I just realized the Ninja Turtles, their ninja emblem on their bandana is an apple.
Yeah.
Man, I'm dumb as hell.
I didn't see it.
Me neither.
I hope this sells, because I'm having fun with this. This is the most fun I've had with Ninja Turtles in a while. And maybe it's the Naruto that's helping. I didn't realize how much I liked Naruto until I got I'm reading it again. There's some nostalgia there that I did not really tap into.
I think it's been a while since the Turtles have been fun. I think IDW does a lot of saying, oh, we're taking the Turtles back to their roots and it's the Dark Ages around here. But actually, we've kind of been there for a while.
Turtles for me is the video games, the side scrollers, which is just dumb fun. And this is the closest to that feeling I've gotten for a comic in a while.
But I do like that we get that to your point, that emotional tether with Kakashi, because Kakashi, he's going to be the leader. He's going to bring people back in, and then to reference Yoshi as opposed to Splinter, he recognized through his actions, through the fighting, right? He's like, oh wait, this guy is a student of somebody that maybe I know, so I want to see what that, because that feels like history. Now there's lore to drop.
Yeah, watch Shredder have the other shotting gun
Bro.
as Cale and Sean are confused.
Yeah, you guys are speaking a whole other language right now, dude.
Yeah, the guy famous for blades having a shotgun. Yeah,
Shut the get out of here. Go home.
I'm trying.
Michael DeFonte says if everyone could like thumbs up this stream, it helps a lot. And I completely agree.
Damn, you're right.
Yes, thank you, Michael. I really appreciate that from you.
I think Michael deserves a green flag, Sean.
Whoa.
Yes, absolutely. You get a green flag, 100%. The cool book nerd says, excited to hear what y'all think of the question.
Oh.
Well,
Interesting.
you don't have to wait any longer, my friend,
Wow.
because you are the coolest book nerd. Just for you, we're going to get into our review of the question, All Along the Watchtower #1. This was written by Alex Segura with art by Cian Torme. Who is Alex Segura? I'm trying to think of other work I've read.
Marvel writer?
They've been
previously?
around a while.
Yeah.
Did some editing as well at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Archie?
Ooh, Archie rings a bell. Yeah.
That does sound familiar.
On the socials a lot. That's probably why.
That,
Yeah.
yes, that I can definitely say. Colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr., letters by Willie Schubert. So when this was first announced and teased, it got a lot of people really excited. I think it has a really cool name. It's got a character that has a little bit of buzz right now, and I think people are excited to see make a return into the forefront in the question, specifically Renee Montoya's version of the question. And this is an opportunity for her to get at the front of things and, brush shoulders with, basically the entire DC universe, because the Watchtower now is the home of, they say in the book, potentially thousands of superheroes. But there's something wrong on the Watchtower that has characters like Wonder Woman and Superman kept up at night because they can't sleep because they're so worried about what's going on in the Watchtower. Something so dangerous that only the question can uncover it. Well, my question to you guys is, how did you guys feel about this first issue?
Pick of the week. This was neat. Very clean from a storytelling perspective. It felt like a good pulp story. The beginning, I've never been a good sleeper. A little over the top, a little dramatic. I can hear like a cigarette getting pulled or something. I think the voice that Alex has for Renee was great. And for me, the opening 3 pages, you have your initial sequence of her just getting up, going to the drawer to pull out her costume, then the splash page of seeing the Watchtower and understanding the the majesty and like the scope of what's happening, and then her having it on. That page, that flow was excellent. I'm like, oh, in for the text so far, in for the way that you're communicating this to me from an art perspective. Big shout outs to Cian Torme, and I had a blast all the way through.
I thought this was great. I really, the art was great. I think I have issues with the premise, which we can get into. But overall, I think it's a fun place for the question to be, to echo the older era that this whole situation is clearly coming from, the Justice League Unlimited concept, and the question working sort of behind the scenes as someone looking for something further behind the scenes. It puts Renee in a really interesting position. But I think it feels of a time, and that could be Alex Segura and their writing style. It feels like most of the cards are on the table. Um, I kind of feel like the constant narration in this is actually not going to do this series any favors. And then the reveal of Kate Kane already, it's just like, well, okay, I'm just not allowed to have anything.
I really enjoy this actually. I actually enjoyed the narration. Um, it is kind of like, all right, it's noir adjacent, the book.
Yeah.
It's like noir in text but not setting. Um, and I think that's just a staple of the genre that is kind of not needed but is used, and maybe it's a little expected to be used here. And Segura is maybe just playing to the expectations of it. But I think he uses it well. I think his voice for Renee is fun. You know, she's always fighting. She's always punching upwards in a way. And in this, you know, being a direct continuation of what happened in Chip's Batman run and where she left off there, I thought was interesting. What I didn't expect, and I was kind of pleasantly surprised with, was that in a way it's a team book. Like there is a supporting cast that gets introduced here that's really interesting, and it's like, hey, let's pick Tyler's favorite characters, because I was like, what? Both Blue Beetles, who I love, Animal Man and Batwoman. Like, what did you read my mind or something? So I was cool with that, because I wasn't expecting that from this book, and there was a part of it that I was like, all right, I hope Renee has somebody to work off of, because then I think she can get bogged down with herself. So I'm glad that Segura added this kind of supporting cast that I think is interesting to be seen throughout this. I had a lot of fun with it. I think it's an interesting premise that is noir, but very much in where DC All In is happening, in the Watchtower, and it's in very much where DC is at this time. So I'm kind of in for this. I had a lot of fun with this. I mean, it's a strong week. I think there could have been a week where this might have been a pick of the week. I had that much fun with it. But Rocketfellers is pretty damn good.
So we got a poll up for this one too. Make sure you guys vote. We're gonna have a poll up for every book we review here. Um, I actually had the exact opposite experience as you guys. I really didn't like this at all.
Whoa.
Yeah. I thought the premise felt kind of corny. Like it's a cool idea, but so far this first issue was 100% set up, and because it's the question that's dealing with it, it kind of tells me that whatever the thing at the end is going to be, it's probably not going to be something that I'm overly going to care about. And so for that reason, then you have to care about the question. But this doesn't make me care about the question. It felt like if you don't already care about Renee Montoya, then this isn't going to help you with that. And I do, but I care about her through the lens of other people, not through her own lens. Like Batwoman makes an appearance, and I loved her during that, but that was Batwoman's book. This is the questions book, and that I'm not as interested in. I also had a big time problem with the art. I'm sorry to say. I thought the Torme art was not great. I didn't like the facial work for any character. I thought they all looked old and weird. And why, like, isn't Jaime Reyes like a teenager? He looks like an old man right there.
I
That
was thinking
panel,
that
yeah,
panel
I
too.
thought, yeah,
Yeah,
that
that panel for sure.
jumped out for sure.
Wonder Woman's face, like, it's just not, just doesn't hit me right. And I felt like I had that problem a lot where characters' faces just weren't on point for me. I and the tour through the Watchtower and her running into this or that person, I didn't care about that either. Um, yeah, I had a lot of problems with this. There was just nothing here for me.
So I typically like Kian Torme's art, and I think what I didn't care much for here, and I think I still generally like the art, was that the shadows, and I think the panels you point out with the Wonder Woman and with Jaime, the shadows don't do him any favors. And I'm wondering if it's overly shadow to play into the noir theme and to play into that, and I don't think it's doing it any favors. Because Kean worked on, I believe it was Superman or Action Comics recently.
Yeah.
Which is not very. It's not shadowed like this. It's not colored in that way, and I think it's more beneficial to it. So, if I had one nitpick, I would say, all right, let's lighten it up a bit. The story can be the noir. We don't really need the art to do that unless it's in the dark, like at the end of the book where we're led to believe Kate Kane did something. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, I think I think what Sean gets at with the narration and caring about Renee Montoya as the question, I think is exactly what this book is doing wrong. And I hesitate to critique it this way because I don't want to sit here and say this is what I would do. But for me, a good mystery isn't centered around the detective. You don't need to know everything about your detective to get into the mystery. And that's the problem with this, is it's so involved with Renee Montoya and her reaction to meeting all these people, two Blue Beetles and Animal Man, and her reaction to seeing Batwoman, that we're not getting information about the entirety of the actual mystery we're here to solve.
So probably an unfair comparison, but I just saw Chinatown 2 days ago.
Shit.
One of my favorite movies ever. I went with a friend who didn't see the movie and had no idea what the ending was, which was fun. But you learn about Jack through the detective work.
Yeah.
And in fact, by the end of it, you still don't know too much about him, but it's
Columbo.
it's the mystery that's central, and his reactions to it, and how he deals with the characters involved. That then you learn about him, rather than hearing it from the horse's mouth per se. It's unfair to compare something to one of the best noir movies ever, but that makes sense to me.
Once I saw Kate Kane, I knew I was done. Like, they're going there right away, and she's paired up with her. Like, who would do that? Like, it's just so contrived, and I get it. You want them to interact, but I don't know, right away?
My reaction was, Kate Kane, thank God they're giving her something to do.
And that's wild. She's here to solve a mystery for the Justice League. Like, she's here to solve the thing that Superman is scared of, which is a wild premise in the first place.
Right. Like, I feel if Superman is scared of something, he's not going to the Question, he's going to Batman. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is just one of those times where I can't suspend my disbelief, and I just can't accept it.
What about the Phantom Zone shotgun she has?
So, so how did that work with when she shot the robot in the face?
There's two modes. There's stun, and there's containment, which is shoot you to a Phantom Zone prison cell or something. Which, why don't you just use that every time? But
I didn't realize it was so easy to just banish people I thought that was an exclusive thing. Like, the Phantom Zone, all of a sudden, Renee Montoya is the arbiter of who goes and who doesn't. It's crazy.
Which is the entirety of what Mark Waid's current run in Action Comics is about.
Yeah. Yep. So they better wrap that up quick.
For me, this is a pass. I didn't like this almost at all.
Listen, it's a question book. I am still here for the mystery. I want to see what's going on. But like I said, this feels like something from a different era, and it feels misplaced here. Still a pull.
I'm excited for the next issue, at least, of the twist there. The murder is interesting to me. And the implication.
It's a pull for me. Yeah, I had fun with it.
Nice.
All right. Well, the listeners also appear to have had fun with it, because 55% of you chose pull, 31% said pass, and 13% said pick of the week. So you put those two numbers together, I can do math. That's 68% of you that were high on this. So that's pretty good. Good numbers. I hope that the book continues to do well. I thought it was a mini. Then I think I heard it was an ongoing, and now I think it's a mini.
I
Uh,
recently heard there was some scuttlebutt about it being ongoing and then taken down to a mini, and that happened to a couple of titles.
C.W. Gordon says, pretty sure it's only a 6-issue mini, which explains some of the rush. Okay.
And you know what? I don't mind this being a mini. I'd almost expected it to be. That I think framed some of my thinking about it. We're in and out with this story, and it's gonna be a fun romp.
And then the question can be there in the background. And if we find something cool for her to do later, cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, I don't know why that book bummed me out. I think I was like really excited to try something that I normally just would not get, and then I was like, ah, damn it,
Yeah.
it wasn't for me.
Sean, you ever read GCPD, Gotham Central?
No, but I really want to.
That'll make you like Ray Montoya for sure.
I bet that's Greg Rucka, right? That's
Brubaker.
Michael Lark.
yeah.
Michael Lark
Yeah,
on
dude.
art.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
god. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Dude.
Yeah.
Street level,
Tremendous
just
book.
Gotham cops trying to deal with like Mr. Freeze and shit. Oh,
Yeah.
You name me, you say Michael Lark and you say Greg Rucka, I immediately think about Lazarus, which I think is one of the greatest non-Big Two books of the last decade.
you like
No one's read it.
the twice yearly issues?
Exactly. Yeah. Uh let's see. Mr. Hijack says Gordon year 1 in reference to GCPD. Is that what it feels like?
No.
No.
This is post I want to say it's post war games in the pre 52 Batman continuity. It's before Infinite Crisis, but it's where it's basically the Wire in Gotham without Batman.
Yep.
And it's in this section
tailor-made for you,
of,
Sean.
it's in this section of Batman books where you almost never see Batman. And crazy stuff happens in it. One of the detectives eventually becomes the Spectre. Don't worry, don't let that scare you. It's not in this book.
yeah, no. But
What?
Crispus Allen is one of my favorite characters.
Yep.
Maggie Sawyer is in that too, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
How could she not be?
Kale, that felt like a targeted hook right at me.
I'm just saying, if there's a way we could
Baby,
kind
it's
of
been 8 years.
game the book club in a way to eventually read that book, I wouldn't be against it. But
You know what? I don't even think the beginning's that good, but the entirety of it really is.
yeah.
How long is it? If you have a
7 or 8 volumes. I want to say maybe even like 10.
It's pretty big. Yeah.
shit.
I want to, I want to, could be, oh yeah, Gavin points out Batman is felt. And that's one of the big strengths of the book is you feel him on the periphery of the book. I want to say there's a really famous and acclaimed issue revolving around the Joker, and it's how the GCPD deals with the Joker when Batman's not on the table. Great.
Yeah. People are saying 40 issues, so that's sizable. But yeah.
8-ish. Yeah.
Not bad.
Joe says, question, how to overcome burnout with reading? I usually read about 15 comics per week, but here lately it's hard to focus or feel excited after reading a good comic.
Let me know when you figure it out. No, just
I have an answer for this, and I would say stop. I know that's a hard answer for some people because it's so what's the word I'm looking for? It's
ingrained.
It's ingrained.
Ritual.
It becomes ritual. Yeah. So it's hard to do that, but maybe it's. I mean, you could still pull your books if you need to. If you need to stop reading them, take some time off to stop reading them. I've had times before I did the show where I stopped reading monthly and I went back to reading collected stuff and getting through my back issues. And that kind of reignited my love for comics in a way. So you can stop reading the monthly grind and still read comics. That might help. But yeah, just take a step back, I would say.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Really
Volume.
take in what you're reading. 15 a week. A week is a lot of time, but it's also really not. And especially, we do 5 to 6 for a pals pulls. And I do those in an afternoon, and it feels like I blow through them. And there are days when it's like, if I'm coming in at an especially rough week, I have hated everything I've read. I would genuinely recommend paring down some of the things you read and really taking it in and giving them some time if you can.
That smacks to me of someone whose pull list needs to be called. I
Yep.
definitely resonate with that, where sometimes I'm reading to read and I'm not reading because I'm excited, not reading for joy. And I'm like, why the fuck am I reading this issue of, spoiler for later, I won't say. Like, why am I reading this right now? And that's when I know these days, like, okay, that book has to come off my pull list. So to me, that would be my recommendation. You need your pull list needs to drop down. Let's see what else. What else you guys saying? Near says, yeah, this week I came back from a month plus hiatus from reading, and now I am more excited than ever to read. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Always happens. Come back refreshed.
Gavin says it shouldn't feel like an obligation. Yeah, but what if you have a podcast, Gavin?
Even then, take a second, read something else for a hot minute.
That's when you also learn to start gaslighting yourself. Great skill.
Let's jump into our next book review. Let's talk about Batman and Robin, Year 1, Number 2. This is written by Mark Waid with art by Chris Samnee, colors by Giovanna Nero, letters by Clayton Cowles, and Chris Samnee. Damn, my man, can you do less jobs, Chris Samnee? So this is now, Bruce and Dick and Alfred are sort of trying to, grab hold of this relationship, and now the outside world is looking at them. Now they've got, like an ACS equivalent or whatever on them. They've got, child services taking a look at what's going on with the family. And there's some more interplay and hijinks between them. Bruce is realizing that the difference in personality between these two isn't necessarily working out, and that he might have to adjust his tactics because they ain't working. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, we have Two-Face and the bad guys making plans that Batman and Robin, of course, have to stop. And things might be getting a little too heavy for the young lad. How are we feeling about Batman and Robin issue 2?
Phenomenal. Excellent.
Pick of the week.
It was this close, but I wanted to give it to the question.
You gave a book that you called Neat Pick of the Week over a book you called Phenomenal.
That's that Marco rating system. It's that new math.
Yeah. For me, the big thing in this is Samnee knows how to turn a page. He knows how to tell continual story panel by panel. The moment where we start off with the Child Protective Services, office workers kind of chit-chatting, and then the end bit where she's walking away. In fact, I'm off to stately Wayne Manor now. I just hope for this Playboy fop isn't putting that kid in any kind of danger. Title card. I'm like, yo, I put that down for a second. I was like, hell yeah. Back in.
Did you hear the Adam West transition sound when that happened?
No. Oh, that's good.
Bro, that's my highest compliment for this book is the way the voices are Adam West and Burt Ward, but the art is the animated series.
Yes.
It's the perfect blend. Dick has a personality, and he is actively like at odds with Bruce because Bruce is trying to keep up this intense pretense. But Dick is who he is. You know, he's a circus kid. He loves danger. And you know, the way we see all that, like, you know, and in the beginning, you know, Bruce is frustrated with the way Robin is trying to, you know, he's being showy, taking out the machine gun, and he's not following Batman's orders, but he's doing it in his own way. And then at the end, you know, he busts into this burning building to save the kids, and he's doing it in his own way. Um, and but his way is more direct. It's the way that, you know, Batman would want him to do it. And you can kind of see how there's not a ton of confidence in the burning building because it's real. This book is phenomenal.
And to that moment that you're calling out also, it's also Bruce having to learn how to relinquish, how to soften,
Yeah.
and that's the process. The moment where the child service person is in, you know, he's swinging from the rafters, right? And she asks if this is typical behavior. She turns around, you get this really comedic moment of he's just like wiggling his fist, and
Yeah.
he looks like a scamp, you know, like perfect. He's really pushing on his buttons in very heartfelt and emotional ways.
I really enjoyed this. I thought this was great. You know, this is a creative team that has had success before, and I think that the all the like warts of a collaboration are not present. They clearly understand each other. They understand what they're going for. I feel like, you know, they're veterans and they know how to do this. And I love that. Like I love to see the modern veterans at work, the ones where it's like they're veterans of the last 20 years. Um they just, man, Somni's visual style is just so exciting and fresh, while still feeling classic at the same time. He's just really got a style that's all his own. I loved the first scene where Robin is, you know, hanging off the chandeliers and doing all that crazy stuff and juxtaposing that with the burning building sequence at the end. That was really great. Like he's having fun with it, but he's also extremely capable. He's not just messing about. Like he really has talent for this and he's fearless in the same way that Bruce is for a different reason and a different expression, but he's got that thing. And I love that. I love that. And it's a relationship I've never felt between two characters in comics other than these two. They have the same exact motivator inside of them. It just comes out in different ways.
I almost have trouble talking about this book because it's just good. Do you know what I mean? Like it's Wade and Somni just know they just work so well together, and I think they're tailor made for a book like Batman.
Can't relate. I could talk about this book all day. I explained the whole thing to Jess. She went, okay.
Oh shit.
That's nice.
But it's just like, you know, Gavin brings up, you know, Alex Toth as, you know, inspiration. Yeah, and this is the kind of comics I love. You know, I think about this stuff. You know, some of my favorite artists like Darwin Cook, Leonardo Romero, more recently, all kind of come from the same Toth school. And it just fits with Batman so freaking well, and especially this Batman. And Cale bringing up the point where it's like, it's the animated series in writing, or in art style in a way, and kind of mimicking that, but it is Adam West and Burt Ward. I think that's true, but I also think it's almost like the animated series Gotham as well. and
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
story is that, and you're putting in the characterizations of these two characters from something else. It's taking two puzzle pieces from the same series of puzzles but different, and somehow they still fit. And it just really works. I'm loving this book. It's great.
That was going to be something that I brought up, was the Gotham City feels like its own character. It's living and breathing its own kind of culture. For me, when the bad guys were in the car or in the truck, and I hear an accent, I hear these people speaking in a certain dialect. When he goes, so I says to Dino, I says, big talk from a mook who married his way into this family. Super simple, but just the way that he's choosing words, the way that he's wants to phrase it, the repetition of I says, it's super subtle, and it adds so much depth to that world.
It's something I've been reading a lot in Kirby stuff in the Fourth World. Kirby really just, I mean, slathers the page with it. All sorts of dialects, all sorts of, and it's like it adds so much character to not just the people, but the environment.
Man, I gotta say, we hardly ever talk about lettering in this, but Clayton Cowles and Chris Somney, I just wanted to point out, I love the way Two Face's dialogue balloons are. There's this like slight edginess to them. Like they're not quite round, they're not quite circular. And I can hear that. That's the graveliness of the animated series Two-Face voice.
Mm.
That's the way I always hear Two-Face. And that balloon style makes it come through even stronger. It just feels so appropriate for that character.
And it's such a comics thing to be able to do that with lines, like lines affecting sound.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Hell
nuts.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that also tells a story too, because you can see the I'm looking at the page where it ends with so I come with an offer. That particular balloon is very angular, but the one above it is almost perfectly rounded. And then on the next page, the couple of times that Two-Face speaks, it's wavy. And you can tell this is a Two-Face that is a year one. He's only just become Two-Faced. And again, there's some confidence that's growing from both sides. They're not so diametrically opposed yet, but you can see it growing if you know Two-Face.
And
This is, yeah, go ahead.
and in a way, it's also very Batman 66, because this Two-Face is also doing gimmicky shit. Oh, this Two-Face, he flips a coin every night to see if he wants to do crime. Like in my head, I read that, I'm like, oh, that is just a gimmicky. This is like I don't think Two-Face was ever actually in 66, but it was designed for it and never actually made it to TV. But like, this is perfect for that world.
Cool. Real good comic.
Easy. Did you see
Hey,
the Tom Riley Two-Face cover, Sean?
No. Oh, you have it up now, don't you?
Yeah, Tom Riley killing it. Again, another one of those artists that kind of feels like it's in the same school that Somni would be in.
Yeah.
Great
stuff. I always pop when I see Two-Face in a comic because I'm imagining Sean reading this, and I'm like, all right, cool. I think Sean will like it. Yeah.
Dude, so much. It hurts when he's done wrong. And Marco, you pulled.
I did, yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Joe says, is there a year one that hasn't been done that y'all would love to read?
The question.
Did you say good
Nah.
question or the question? Sean opting out.
I mean, if I have to answer the question, I'll say like Batwoman year one. Although I think we already read that. I think that was, whatever J.H. Williams and
Elegy.
Rucka did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't care about year one. Like this is great, and I'll certainly read it and complete it and all that. But like, if you ask me, do you need more year one? No, I really don't.
I keep thinking of him like, what about Thor? I'm like, oh no, Somni did a young Thor comic, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what about Magneto? No, that's called Testament. Like, they've all
That's World War II.
yeah, they've all kind of been done. I don't know, maybe like
The Spectre.
yeah, maybe I really don't know.
I'm gonna.
Y'all gotta start having fun with comic books.
Luke Cage, Luke Cage, that's what I would like. Give me a Luke Cage year one.
The black exploitation is going to be running wild.
Wasn't there? Yeah, wasn't there a Gendy Tartovsky
Yes,
book
with
that
one of
was
my.
basically that?
And it was Power Man time. I don't think it was really a year one. It was like, hey, I'm gonna set this during
Ah.
Power Man time, and it's very black exploitation, and it has
Yeah.
one of my favorite pages ever in comics, and it's Cyclops screaming Jean, just freaking out. It's so good.
Yo, Marowaka Skuro says Paul year one.
Oh god,
Slow Dammer and says Batman: The Long Year One.
the longest. There was a question we got from Chris who said, "Do you like this more than the other Batman and Robin by PKJ?" Yes,
Yes,
for
I've
now.
only read the one.
Yeah, I think we're only one issue in.
Issue 2 came out last week.
Oh,
Yeah,
I haven't read.
fuck. Anyway,
It's good.
okay.
It was good. I don't know if I can. It's different strokes, you know, like it's different flavors for the same characters. I think, gun to my head, I'd say this book more.
Not different characters.
Well, no,
Sorry.
Damien is a different Robin.
They are different
Yeah.
characters. What did you say?
I don't know what I said. But yeah, it feels different to me. But I think this book I prefer.
Yeah, I just don't like Damien that much. Never have.
He's cool. Dig him, but this
Love
is
that boy.
this is better.
We're going to talk a lot more about Damien this Tuesday during the Batman by Grant Morrison book club. We're going to be talking a lot about Damien because he is all up and down that series. So hopefully you guys come and hang out with us, and we will give our definitive takes on the Damien of that era. And that should be fun because Marco at least hasn't read a lot of that. So
Yeah, just the first couple issues off a previous iteration of something on Pals.
indeed.
Excellent stuff.
Hell yeah. Dan Trudeau says Sean must love Batman forever and its definitive take on Two-Face. No, I don't. When I was a kid, I did. When I was a kid, I really liked the part where Batman throws up all the coins and Two-Face is like, and then he falls into the rocks and dies. But then I got older.
Batman Forever is my favorite Batman movie.
Right?
That's psychotic.
It's true.
Okay. All right.
Nicole Kidman, man.
Chase Meridian, big fan.
Oh man. Batman the Extra Long Night. Yep. Well, we're gonna keep things going before this becomes the extra long podcast. Let's talk about World's Finest number 33. That was the listener pick this week. You guys, of course, over 500 of you decided that you were going to vote for World's Finest. Thank you for choosing to do that. We've got a fun one up for you this week, though, as far as the poll goes, because I wanted to take DC out of the mix, since you guys will always vote for the DC book, especially if it's got Batman in it. So I thought, let's mix it up and not do the Long Halloween. So we've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 4. We've got Amazing Spider-Man number 62, Hyde Street number 2, and Void Rivals number 14. So I thought I would throw a little bit of a mix in there. Get your vote on, especially if you're one of those people who says, oh, we need more indie books. You got to vote for that.
We got
the only way
Spider-Man
that
for you.
Well, all right. So let's get to World's Finest. This is written, of course, by Mark Waid. Double dose of Wade this week. I feel like Mark Mark Waid is all over the map. Adrian Gutierrez on art, Matt Herms on the colors, Steve Wands on the letters. Now, 2 months ago, we reviewed this, and I didn't know what was going on. That was the first issue of the Eclipso story. And I did not read last month's issue. So I still don't really know what's going on. I don't understand Eclipso's powers. There was a point at which he took over people's minds, and I didn't get that. He gets shot at. He doesn't care. I don't know what he does, and that's fine. This was a really good looking book. I really liked the art. I thought the Gutierrez art was fantastic. You know, he's not Dan Mora, but nobody is Dan Mora, but he is Gutierrez, and I think he did a great job. I'm going to leave you guys to talk about this one.
I think it's a bit of a tricky book to talk about because it is. I don't. Did you guys read 32?
Sure didn't, and boy, did that hamper me.
Marco?
I didn't, but I didn't feel as hampered. I kind of felt like I've been diving into these, and they've been, Wade has a good skill to pull you in.
Yeah, I've been reading this consistently, so I'm up to date on it. And I think it's good, but and I think it was C.W. Gordon who mentions it in the chat. For me, I know JLU's coming. And Mark Waid's on that with Dan Mora. And I think that's going to scratch the itch that World's Finest is giving me, so I'm not sure I need this book anymore.
He mentions it being drawn out. Did you feel like this, because this was over the course of 3 issues, did you feel that?
No, it's a fine book. It felt like an episode of like the Justice League cartoon, just, like a 3-parter or something, which is a plus, I think it's just fun. Justice League Comics, and I think the JSA being in it too, and that dynamic of them, like, hey, we're not replacing you, and the JSA knowing that, Eclipso trying to use that against them, but it's like it doesn't exist because there's that understanding already between them all. I thought that was a good bit. So I enjoy that, and I think Gutierrez's art is unlike anything really happening at DC. It's very different than Dan Mora. It feels more like something like an artist that would be on an Absolute book, which is weird. But I enjoy it. I thought there was some really cool stuff. The way he draws Jay Garrick and the Flash, and like they're almost lanky, and you can see the limbs kind of stretching out as if we were, blinking while they're running. And it's really good stuff. But for me, it's like World's Finest was the Dan Mora Mark Waid book, and that's why I came for it. And that's not to denigrate what this issue is. This is a damn good issue, but I do question the need for the title.
The title,
the like World's Finest existing.
Okay.
Because
post as Unlimited comes up,
World's Finest existed for me because Mark Waid was back at DC. They're giving him the big characters to write, but in a sandbox where he can do that himself. The sandbox is broken. He doesn't need to be in it anymore. He's leading the way now. So, and he's doing that with Dan Mora. So it seems like the purpose for it doesn't exist anymore. Like, do we need an out of continuity Batman Superman story? Not really, when the main continuity feels like this, Yeah, it's the content of World's Finest eclipsed DC Universe entirely, and that's what the DC Universe feels like now. Which kudos to Waid and Somni for influencing that in a way, or Waid and Mora rather.
I think singularly for this issue, at least, the story that gets told, and this has kind of like a resolution to some of those things, was fun. I first and foremost have not been following the story, but so for me to be able to jump in and ground myself in, okay, these people are fighting these bad guys, this group is fighting another group over here, these guys need support. I understand where all those players are and how they're working together, and I think that is the enjoyable part for me, especially for a World's Finest book here. And then the art, that I thought was phenomenal. The colors feel almost like watercolor-esque. There's like a texture to the pages, or to the way that things are drawn, and then the thin lines really help to accentuate both movement, but also I think it makes it that much more distinguishable from Mora. I appreciated that there was such a difference between those two artists, and I'm a sucker for that kind of a style anyway. So I think this really aligned for me when in the things that I enjoy in a book. And being able to see the all these classic superheroes, you get this sort of old versus new. It's a good little trope. Yeah, I think he's firing on all cylinders here from a writing standpoint, and I didn't need to understand the mechanics of Eclipso as much as I'm glad that I was just told, hey, this is happening as a consequence of those things.
With Eclipso, it's one of those things where it's like it's DC magic.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
can barely read the way Zatanna talks, even though it's English just backwards. Like I've given up trying to understand it, and it just is.
I think for me, the threat, and again, I didn't read issue 2, but the threat feels misplaced. Eclipso is the threat, but we have this running theme with the JSA that it creates conflict between them and the League. It feels like Eclipso taking over the society should be bigger than a couple of pages that's easily enough resolved. I feel like that should have been this story as opposed to whatever the overarching Eclipso plot here is, because it feels like this issue is a lot of running around, but they zip that part up real quick. And that's my big problem with this, is that the JSA are taken over, and then they're not. And it's cool, and getting to see the Spectre, come out and do his cool magic stuff is cool. And then, getting to see Superman come in and team up with Dr. Fate, and they're the two Supermen of the blah blah blah, and they defeat Eclipso. Rad. But like, that should have been the whole thing.
I think for me, just on the whole, World's Finest has run its course. Where like, I got it. It's been really cool. Like I think last year around this time, World's Finest was in my top 5.
Yeah.
And now I'm cool on it. Like I got it. I feel like the biggest, best ideas have been hit on. And like for me personally, I'm just good.
Especially when JLU comes out next week.
Right. Like the team transitioned over, and like this just feels like it. I don't know that it's an afterthought in Mark Wade's mind, but it's like, all right, I got it.
So remember that time in WWE when like NXT people would go up to the main roster, but still kind of linger in NXT for a little bit?
Sure.
And you're like, why are they there? That's kind of what this feels like.
But I just don't think this book as a whole, well, I don't know. I can't say it shouldn't exist, because clearly there's an audience of people whose this kind of story is like their bag, the Silver Age type of story with very little consequence to anything, just fun, good storytelling. Like I'm glad that there's a lane for that, but it's just not something that I am clamoring for by any means.
And I agree with you, Sean. I also question the need for this book. But then I just looked at the next issue, and it's a Jimmy Olsen and Batgirl with the Super Pets. And I'm like, okay, there it is.
Right. And that's like the kind of thing that I would rather never see. So there you go. I'm gonna pass, and I'm sorry for like not having much to say about the book, but I couldn't grab onto any of this, and the art is amazing. And I think, if you don't know Adrian Gutierrez, and you should check it out for that. But I didn't care about the story. Like the JLA and JSA relationship, that's not something that I'm interested in. Especially because as far as I'm aware, this isn't even in continuity. So whatever, right? I don't know.
You play on that to whatever degree, right? Of little consequence then.
Yeah.
Pull for me. This was fun. And for Gutierrez alone, the art phenomenal.
Yeah, it's still a pull for me. Yeah, I'm having enough fun with it. It's on thin legs, I think, in terms of where I see it going, but it's still a pull for me.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sweet. I think this is also a pass for me.
No.
I really enjoy it. I really like this era. I like World's Finest as a whole and how it's sort of giving a new template for what DC history looked like. But the to this arc in particular and this issue in particular just haven't worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Chat says so Cole says I can see this going to 50 issues, clean long run. If a comic book can get to 50 issues in 2024 or 5 or 6 or whenever they would actually reach that number, that is a unmitigated success. And if they can pull that off with this, yo, hats off. I'll fucking wave you 50 green flags.
Dude, every time I like to look at League of Comic Geeks to get the images for the show, and I also see where it lists on the amount of people pulling it. World's Finest is always number 1 or 2 when it's out.
It's very popular
Yeah.
by all accounts. And that's great. Not everything's for everybody. This book isn't for me anymore, but I would be happy as hell to see it get to 50 issues. Or
Yeah.
more, whatever they want to pump out.
Make 50 issues the new standard.
I feel like that is the marker of a run that was successful.
Yeah.
Like Poison Ivy is successful. If it gets canceled tomorrow, that's a success because nobody had any expectations. But any book to me that doesn't get to 50 issues that didn't have a 50 issue story to tell, it kind of failed. That's kind of how I look at it. That could be conditioning though. I don't know.
And I think World's Finest is unique in that, like I said, it's sort of rebuilding a section of history that DC has kind of lost.
Yep.
And so it's got a unique platform in that, in its sort of anthology style history, episodic nature, it can tell multiple stories so that it can get to 50 issues minimum.
And B, like Joseph Wolf says, a greatest hits book.
Yep.
The kind of shit that's like, hey, what was that one character I really liked from the Silver Age and nobody cares about anymore? Oh, Eclipso. You know what? Let's run with him. Let's use him for a run.
Hell yeah.
Let's talk about the JLA and JSA, which was probably a more interesting concept in the Silver Age. Like Mark Waid has become the Silver Age guy over at DC. And I think that's cool. Like all of those eras get to live in a way. That's cool.
Which is funny because he was reading it at the time and now he's sort of recreating it.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly. And I
dream.
feel like everybody wants to do that.
Yeah. Wow.
That's why a lot of books feel like Grant Morrison right now.
Yeah.
Nuki Brown says, don't mind the concept of aim for 50 issues, provided it doesn't feel like it's not just written for the trade and pulling monthly feels pointless.
Yeah.
Well, what I would say to that is I would say you look at Immortal Hulk and you look at Immortal Thor now. You look at these series, and I specifically shout those out because Al's agenda was to go 50. They feel like, okay, there's a story here that could go for 50. Now, to me, just because you get Batman doesn't mean you have 50 issues of Batman in you. And if you don't, that's valid.
Yep. Yep.
Like, go ahead.
Please.
Go for it.
For something like Immortal Thor or Immortal Hulk, if you have an arbitrary number, we're just throwing 50 out there, you have to build it.
Yeah.
If you have a story to tell, you've got to plant the tent poles and make the the foundation to get yourself there, to make it a story worth 50 issues to tell. And if it's not, that's, that's okay.
Exactly. It's about what the creators have the bandwidth to say. Style So Serious says world's finest haters. No, no, no.
Man, Styles is always trying to get us.
Not anything like that. I'm not a hater of this book at all. Cole said Manipool said they want to go 50 issues on Rocketfellers. All the Ghost Machine books are in it long term. And that is it's an exciting prospect for me to know that creators have long-term intention on a book.
And Jeff, for Ghost Machines in particular, mentioned wanting to eventually hand off those characters to other creators too. So like, if they have 50 issues, sure, but they have maybe plans for even more with other people being able to pick up the torch.
Or they tell their first batch, and then let people run wild until they decide they want to come back. You can let the sandbox keep running until it's time for you to make your return.
Man, I hope they just cancel those books after the OG creators leave.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because then what's different between this is just me talking, but then what's different between that and Superman? Like I'm interested in what Jeff Johns and Gary Frank have to say with Geiger, not necessarily as much to see Geiger live in perpetuity.
Maybe Jeff wants to see that.
Yeah,
It's just me. Yeah, he may want to.
Yeah, I'm with you. To a degree. I mean, I'm not crazy about Geiger, but the world that they live in has more stories to tell. That Jeff's focus on Geiger may have sort of blinded him to those stories, despite having built the world.
I also feel like Redcoat, for example, right? Like it feels like his narrative is to die at the end. Because he's an immortal and they played with that in the first arc a lot. And if he just I don't know. That's a whole larger conversation that we could have. Mr. Hijack says, is Ghost Machine a universe? So no, like Ghost Machine is not, but it has splinter sections that are the unnamed verse is unto itself, and the unnamed universe consists of Redcoat, it consists of Geiger, Junkyard Joe. All those characters are linked and they're telling a shared universe story. But Rocketfellers, Hyde Street, Rook, those are all in their own separate spaces telling separate stories, which is the cool thing about Ghost Machine. Joe said, should Spawn end as soon as McFarlane retires? No, Spawn can get fucking awesome as soon as McFarlane retires.
That's when I'll start reading it. Yeah.
Spawn's gonna be fire.
I don't know if McFarlane will ever retire. My man is living.
It's the inverse of that situation.
No, he won't retire, but everybody dies one day. And I'm not looking forward to that day for Todd. But it will happen. And at that point, somebody's going to have to do something with Spawn. And I say, let it be Morrison. That's what I say.
Ooh, I don't know.
I think they're around the same
No?
age.
Not to say that they won't have a story. They might not be on two dissimilar timelines, is what I'm saying.
But it all comes together in the end with Grant.
And that's what Grant wants to tie together? Like the end of a Spawn story?
All right, I don't know. So we've got one more thing to do here before we cut out. And that is Sean Stack. Now, I have some words this week, but I'm going to save them until after the winner of the game has been determined. This is a game that we play every week here to end Pals Polls because I buy too many comics every week, and you guys are helping me reduce that load. As you saw last week, I can learn. I put to the last 2 weeks, I put together a whole list of the books that I've been choosing, and you helped me cull that pull list. So today we're going to see if, in fact, your efforts have continued to be effective. So let's see those numbers in chat. See what you guys have to say. I didn't have any weird interactions at my LCS this week. I will say it was like a little more packed than I typically am used to, but it was a lot of people just hanging the fuck out. It was a lot of people standing around reading comics. There was a girl, like, I felt like she'd never been happier. She was so happy to be reading whatever comic it was that she was reading. So much so that she didn't realize that she was standing in the fucking way. So I had to do the dance to get around her, like, oh, can I move in? And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And it's like, whoa,
It's such a New Yorker attitude.
dude, it's brutal. Like, I want to
How
pick
can
these
I-
people up.
Hugging off the
Yeah.
fucking sidewalk.
Because it's just like, yo, can you
Move out the
have an
way.
ounce of care or dignity or respect for another person, please?
I'm surprised because you're as a New Yorker, you would imagine that they understand how to not be in the way in some situations. Oh, step onto the right side of the escalator. Move out the way from the train, all that kind of stuff.
Would be tourists.
Oh,
Did you go later
in that area?
today?
These are people who clearly, whether they are from here or not, they don't give a flying fuck about comic book store etiquette. And that tells me that there is a necessity for the LCS sheriff.
Sean.
Yeah, that just sounds like New Yorkers to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I hate to break it to you. You don't go to a comic book shop. You go to a tourist stop.
Well, I don't know though. I agree with Cale. I feel like most people in Midtown are New Yorkers. They have the stench. They've got the New York stench.
Dry piss.
We all know. Sorry?
Dry piss.
No, that's just
What?
what's in my building. The stench of dry
I was gonna
piss.
say, that's
Crash in the
what's on
summer.
you.
Oh my god, oh my god, if you go to the Bronx, in August,
I kind of love it.
you're a
Oh,
nasty one.
Oh.
You're a nasty one.
Tino Shea,
Because
call
when I
me.
get off that bus, at Grand Concourse and I smell that whiff of heat that has heated up the garbage to waft all across the Bronx, and it's the smell of dirty garbage, underarms, ass, and weed. It's that ugly cauldron of smells that assaults my nose in August. It makes life unlivable.
It smells like dog surgery and the backside of knees.
The backside of knees, like an elderly
Wow.
person. Though,
like
right?
And you know what? It smells like home.
Yeesh.
You broke your mic talking about that, Sean. New York
Dex
will
Baxter.
do that to
I'm
you.
just- Yo, Dex Baxter, I'm just gonna stand in your way eating my hot dog. Who made you the sheriff anyway?
Wow.
You need the sheriff.
You do that, buddy, and you're gonna have problems with the LCS sheriff. All right, and you don't
What
want
in-
these fucking problems.
What in Tower Nation?
Yeah, how dare you? Oh my goodness. Dan Trudeau said, "Hey, I'm buying comics over here." Right?
Yeah.
Heroic Age says, "Let's be honest. If it wasn't a cute girl, Sean would not be so forgiving." I'm not interested in girls. All right. I don't go. I don't go to my LCS looking for girls. I go to my LCS looking for comics. Okay.
The only girl is Jean Grey
Jean Grey,
Eh.
the Lady Jean.
and Saturnine with half gloves.
Yes.
But Emma with half gloves.
And Emma half gloves, of course.
Maybe poison ivy in some cases.
Zealot.
Joe
Okay.
says, "I live in the South, but visited New York once, and half the way people talk up there is fighting words down here. Cocksucker is used as us saying sir." Yes, I happen to agree with you. I think there is certainly a New York way of speaking that is very harsh, but depending on where you are, you will definitely have to stand by your words, which is a lost thing that people don't understand anymore. All right. Let's get to counting.
All right. Here we go. We've got Rami with 15. Perennial winner, James Jones, has a belief in Sean. James Jones says 16 on Sean's list this week. Dan Trudeau says 17. Jedi Ty says 14. Near is never far away from the true answer. Says 14. Logan Carroll says 15. Joe coming in at 14. Steve Canare says 18. Robotters 100 says the stack. I know Sean has been trimming the fat, so I have to go a pulling an unlucky 13. 13's unlucky. Robotters didn't say that. But the cool book nerd agrees, says 13. Marowak Escuro says 16. Heroic Age 616. Woof says 19. Pierce Miller says 29.
Oh.
No belief in Sean. Cole says 11. Nuki Brown says 16. Oh, Pierce Miller does believe in Sean. It's 20.
Okay.
C.W. Gordon says 17. Dan Trudeau's last Spawn issue was in the 20s, just so everybody knows. Banksy Main says 15. John White says 12. Izzy says 18. Mike Hank says 17. Oh, I thought I was going to get caught again. Mike Hank says
listening
17.
Back to that,
and Aaron Ruiz says 10.
Kale, listening back to that was so funny, man. So funny. As it came out, I was like, Kale, no, Kale. And you kept going.
Right
no idea.
I was full into it. The joke was that someone's screen name was Mike Rochburn. Mike Rochburn.
Oh my God.
Get that checked out.
Dex Baker slips in here at the end with 19. What do you got, Sean?
So we've got the 6 that we talked about today. We've got Sentinels number 2.
I just read issue 1. It was interesting.
Yeah. I'm excited to get into the second one there.
Also pick that one up.
The Power Fantasy number 4.
You know it.
Yep.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go back to go get it in physical. I want this one in physical. I have the first 3.
Black Cloak issue number 10. The Department of Truth number 27.
We're in the Marilyn Monroe arc. I'm loving it.
Immortal Thor number 17. Spider-Man Reign 2 number 5.
Oh, whoa.
Damn, already?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Phoenix number 5.
Ah, there it is.
It's the cover. It's the covers are getting you.
I saw that cover and I was like, yeah, I got to get it. What am I doing? And you know whose voice I had in my mind too? Truthfully, I had Atomic Hound's voice in my mind, who said, "Don't drop Gene." He said, you can't drop your book. And I kind of felt that. Geiger number 8. This was really good. This was really good.
Oh, I haven't read it yet. That's Paul, right?
Yep, Paul Pelletier is on it.
Yep.
I believe that's his second issue. The Moon is Following Us, number 3. Excellent. Gotta read that, guys. Exceptional X-Men, number 3. Good. Not as enjoyable to me as the first 2 issues, but this is still my second favorite X book after Uncanny.
Okay. I like the second issue.
It was good. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. These last 2, little controversial. Sorry, guys. Storm number 2.
Dude, I'm hearing buzz about that book online. Like positive
What's the
buzz. Positive buzz. Like, oh, there's some good shit here. They're cooking.
I have only negative things to say.
Okay.
Buzzing up the wrong tree.
My man said, "Don't worry, guys. I've been cutting." He didn't cut shit.
I fucked up. And then the last book is Wonder Woman 15.
Come on, dude.
Bro says I don't look for girls in the comic shop, but can't stop.
But it's all girls
picking up the covers.
girls gone wild.
It's like the candy at the supermarket cash register. It's like, well, I'm here.
Might as well.
I don't know what happened, guys. I fucked up. I did. I did. I tried. I felt bad. Like, nah, let me try Wonder Woman because I liked the last issue. So I shouldn't give up on it so easily. And you know what I did, Tyler? I read this issue. I didn't even speak about what I thought about it. I read this issue, but I told myself, I'm not reviewing this. I don't have to fucking hate myself. I am not reading one narration box with the Sovereign. That's what I did. I genuinely did that. And I liked it a lot more than I probably would have otherwise.
Saved a lot. What was the actual like word balloon count at that point? Like 7.
He read a third of the book.
Yeah, yeah.
But I cut it for a reason, and it's not added back. It's done. It's done. I fucked up. So what was that?
That's 18.
18. All
And
right.
we have a winner,
Relapse.
and it's Izzy.
Hey, Izzy. All right, Izzy. Yeah, I mean, if you want any of these Marvel books, feel free to reach out. Exceptional.
Steve Canaris, no?
Excuse me?
I see Steve Canaris above Izzy.
Uh-oh.
Absolutely insane.
Controversy.
Recount.
Recount.
Steve Canaris comics should make people happy. Well, they're not making me happy
Collusion.
right
Collusion.
Roll up close to Roboters.
I just can't believe Sean's dropping Wonder Woman before the Detective Chimp arc. I'm just saying.
now. Robotters.
Before
Izzy.
what?
The Detective Chimp arc that's coming out.
I
There it
can't.
is, Steve Canaris. Steve got it. Yep. it's
Steve got it. All right.
Oh, Izzy, I'm so sorry. Steve, I'm so sorry. But don't you dare, Izzy, come at me saying I fucking forgot that I missed you. I fucked up in a completely different way this week.
Look, I just want to say I'm sorry. I want to say that I will do better. I had a relapse. These things happen. I felt the pain of the receipt when it was rung up. I was like, I felt that pain in my chest. You guys know that pain. I felt it in my chest and I couldn't believe what I had done. And then when I read the books after the fact, the only solace would have been if they were actually good, and none of them were. So they clearly were meant to be left at Midtown or at my LCS. I screwed up. It won't happen again. I learned my lesson. Storm and Wonder Woman are officially cut for sure.
I'm gonna be enjoying that Detective Chimp Bruno Redondo art next month. So
Enjoy it. Love it.
and we have
And
another we have a
that
new
was-
show now where I can talk about that too. So
In Wonder Woman?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's Tom
yeah.
King and Bruno Redondo next arc is a Columbo-esque Detective Chimp story.
I'm not interested in that. Not for
No
Tom
thanks.
King. No. Not even with Detect. Not even you name drop my favorite TV character on the planet. And I still said, nah, no thanks.
He's like dressed like him too. It's pretty funny.
Mm.
Heroic Age said even Tom King wouldn't want you to buy that issue. I'm pretty sure Tom King would want me to buy it. Frankly,
Like,
know,
come on, say a sale's a sale.
yeah, I gave it an honest effort for myself, not even for the podcast. And I feel how I feel at this point. Okay, we're gonna let you guys go. We're gonna get out of here. Quick programming note. This show will not air this Thursday. It will air on Wednesday. We will be live on Wednesday next week because of Thanksgiving. There's something people do where they get together with their families and eat. That sounds weird, but people do it, and we know a lot of you will be. So we won't be live on Thursday. Some of us will be with our families. Some of us will be crying in the corner. I'll let you guys figure out who's who. The next time we will be live with you is this Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern, and we will have a special guest named Gavin Guidry, the artist behind Superman 78, The Metal Curtain, the artist behind some pieces of the most recent arc of Birds of Prey. He's doing a lot of great stuff. He's coming on with us to discuss whether or not the comics industry respects creators.
Oh,
We should bring tomatoes to throw at him.
oh my god! It made my
What?
back organic groan.
Why? He's right.
The big question. Big question. We're going to have a big show this Saturday. Hope to see you all there. Until then, take care, guys.
See you next week.